Trump administration officials mistakenly disclosed war plans in a messaging group that included a journalist shortly before the U.S. attacked Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis. The Atlantic magazine's Jeffrey Goldberg reported that he had been added to a Signal message group which apparently included Vice President J.D. Vance and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. He said he had seen classified military plans for U.S. strikes on Houthi rebels, including weapons packages, targets and timing, 2 hours before the bomb struck. The report sparked a firestorm of criticism from opposition Democrats and concerns among several Republicans. The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern Time on March 15 that the United States was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing, Jeffrey Goldberg said. His report omitted the details, but Goldberg termed it a shockingly reckless use of a Signal chat. Accounts that appeared to represent Vice President J.D. Vance, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and senior National Security Council officials were assembled in the chat group, Goldberg wrote. Joe Kent, Trump's nominee for National Counterterrorism Center Director, was apparently on the Signal chain despite not yet being Senate-confirmed. National Security Council spokesperson Brian Hughes said the chat group appeared to be authentic. The Defense Secretary also defended the military operation discussed in the chat, citing its success. When pressed by reporters, Hegseth criticized Goldberg as a deceitful and highly discredited journalist and resisted questions about the content of the messages. House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican, said the breach had been a mistake, but argued that the chat showed top-level officials doing their job, doing it well. Democratic lawmakers demanded an investigation, casting the episode as a national security scandal. This is one of the most stunning breaches of military intelligence that I have read about in a very, very long time, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said. U.S. President Donald Trump launched an ongoing campaign of large-scale military strikes against Yemen's Houthis on March 15 over the group's attacks against Red Sea shipping, and he warned Iran, the Houthis' main backer, that it needed to immediately halt support for the group. Second Lady Usha Vance plans a trip to Greenland, at a time when President Donald Trump has suggested the United States should take control over the self-governing, mineral-rich territory of American ally Denmark. According to Associated Press, Vance will leave on Thursday and return Saturday, according to her office. Vance and one of her 3 children will be part of a U.S. delegation that will visit historic sites and learn about Greenlandic heritage. Media outlets in Greenland and Denmark reported that Vance would be accompanied by Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz. The White House and the National Security Council did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Danish police sent extra personnel and sniffer dogs to Greenland as the icy island steps up security measures ahead of a planned visit. Renee Guildenstern said Monday the extra officers, deployed the day before, were part of regular steps taken during visits by dignitaries to Greenland, a self-governing, mineral-rich territory of American ally Denmark. Citing office procedure, Guildenstern declined to specify the number of extra police flown on the chartered flight. News reports put the number at dozens of officers. Greenlandic news outlet Sermitsiaq posted images of 2 U.S. Hercules workhorse military aircraft on the tarmac Sunday in Nuuk, the capital, adding that the planes later departed. A statement from Vance's office said she and one of her 3 children will be part of a U.S. delegation that will visit historic sites and learn about Greenlandic heritage. U.S. airstrikes targeting Yemen's Houthi rebels pounded sites across the country into Monday, with the group saying the one attack in the capital killed at least one person and wounded more than a dozen others. According to Associated Press, the American strikes entered its 10th day without a sign of stopping, part of a campaign by U.S. President Donald Trump targeting the rebel group that threatens maritime trade and Israel while also trying to pressure Iran, the Houthis' main benefactor. So far, the U.S. has not offered any specifics on the sites it is striking, though Trump's national security advisor Mike Waltz claimed the attacks have taken out key Houthi leadership, including their head Misler. That's something so far that's not been acknowledged by the Houthis, though the rebels have downplayed their losses in the past and exaggerated their attacks attempting to target American warships. An apparent U.S. strike Sunday hit a building in a western neighborhood of Yemen's capital, Sana'a, killing at least one person and wounding 13 others, the rebel-controlled Saba news agency said, citing health officials. Footage released by the rebels showed the rubble of a collapsed building and pools of blood staining the gray dust covering the ground. A building next to the collapsed structure still stood, suggesting American forces likely used a lower-yield warhead in the strike. The Houthis also described American airstrikes targeting sites around the city of Sada, a Houthi stronghold, the Red Sea port city of Hodeidah and Marib province, home to oil and gas fields still under the control of allies to Yemen's exiled central government. The campaign of airstrikes targeting the rebels, which killed at least 53 people immediately after they began March 15, started after the Houthis threatened to begin targeting Israeli ships again over Israel blocking aid entering the Gaza Strip. The rebels in the past have had a loose definition of what constitutes an Israeli ship, meaning other vessels could be targeted as well. The Houthis had targeted over 100 merchant vessels with missiles and drones, sinking 2 vessels and killing 4 sailors during their campaign targeting ships from November 2023 until January of this year. They also launched attacks targeting American warships, though none have been hit so far. The attacks greatly raised the Houthis' profile as they faced economic problems and launched a crackdown targeting any dissent and aid workers at home amid Yemen's decade-long stalemated war that's torn apart the Arab world's poorest nation.